congratulations on selecting the team. I guess just your initial thoughts on what you have right now, and I mean, how busy do you expect to be in the next coming days, week or so as well, to utilize what you have now to maybe even get more?
Yeah, no, we're excited about what we have right now, Dan. Feel very fortunate we were able to get Drieger and Larson and Alexiak to sign with us, so that was a nice boost. And we're looking Friday night. We got the number 2 pick overall, so there's potential getting somebody can step into your lineup out of the draft. And QOs next week, and then free agency, and then the rest of the summer and waivers and camp. So a lot of opportunities to sort of tweak our lineup over the next 4 or 5 months, and we'll look to try and take advantage of that if we can.
Thanks, Dan. Our next question comes from Stephen Wino.
Hey, Ron, just kind of a housekeeping question for you. Well, in terms of trades, so no trades were announced obviously tonight. Did you submit trades with the list this morning, or all the moves you're doing, they're going to be announced tomorrow? Did that happen after you submitted your list?
No, you can't do any trades until the trade freeze ends at 1 o'clock on Thursday.
All right, thanks, Susan. Next question comes from Chris Johnson.
Hey, Ron, I know we've spoken previously about the importance of cap space. I'm just wondering, with number of sort of skilled players with big cap, how intentional was it to look through those names, and why did you end up leaving most of those guys unselected?
Kind of hard hearing your question. I think it was in regards to cap space, but yeah, I mean, we think that's a valuable thing to have right now, especially in the COVID environment with a flat cap. So, we went through our choices, and there was some good players that were out there. Maybe we weren't comfortable with the cap hit on some of them. So we tried to draft the best team possible we could, and still keeping our cap space available to hopefully do some things as we move forward.
Thanks, Chris. Next question, Greg Wyshynski.
Thanks a lot. Hey, Ron, in 2017, when Vegas had the same draft rules you had, they made 10 transactions leveraging the protection lists for prospects and picks and players that were on NHL rosters. Did you find that teams got a little bit smarter with the process and not allowing you to fleece them like George McPhee did in 2017?
Well, I mean, I think we talked about that going into this. This was going to be so much different than what Vegas went through. There hadn't been an expansion draft in 17 years. Vegas did a good job taking advantage of the rules and sort of everyone's lack of experience in that environment. But the minute that one was done, they knew we were coming in. It was supposed to be 3 years, ended up 4 years. So they had a lot more time to prepare for us. You look at Vegas's expansion draft, they had nobody sitting on the outside that could affect their protection list of the other teams. We had Vegas sitting on the outside, and in fact, they were able to make a couple of trades which affected multiple protection lists for us. So it was a lot of different scenarios that came into play. And I think last time where GMs were more willing to, in a sense, overpay to protect certain assets. This time they learned from that, and they weren't willing to make the mistakes that they made last time.
Thanks, Greg. Next up is Richard Lebet. Richard, go ahead. Okay, next question goes to Matthew DeFrank.
Hi, Ron. What made Jamie Alexiak an attractive piece for you guys, and why was it important to get him signed for 5 years?
Well, we think he's really a good defenseman. He's 6'7". He's one of the heaviest players, if not the heaviest player in the game. Skates really well for a big man. He can play both sides of the ice. So, I think for us, it's important to kind of get those top 4 defensemen, and certainly he filled into that void.
Thanks, Matt. Next up is Jim Thomas.
Yeah, Ron, what do you like about Vince Dunn? And is your goal to I would guess, is to sign him to something more long term as an RFA?
Yeah, no, that would be the plan, and we like he's a young defense. We think he's got some good offensive upside. So we're looking forward to getting the chance to work with Vince and help develop his game, and hopefully he can be a big part of our future.
Thanks, Jim. Next up is Alexei Ballinger-Champagne.
Hi, Ron. You mentioned earlier that your team take a look at Carey Price for the Canadians. Just in the end, what were some of the factors that led you to not pick him?
Well, I mean, I think anytime you hear the name Carey Price, you have to consider it, and we did. Not only as a goaltender, his reputation, the community is outstanding as well. So, we just, as we go through your selections, you look at different things and what options might be available and what the cost is, and at the end of the day, we decided to go in a different direction. But he's certainly a hell of a goaltender.
Thanks, Alexei. Next up is Nick Kasanika.
Hey, Ron. My impression is that your goal here wasn't to build the absolute best team for year one, but to be as competitive as possible soon, but while having sustained success. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think you got to look at a lot of different things, right? You can, for our standpoint, we've got a couple things we want to do. We certainly want to be a competitive team and try and win right out of the gate. But we also know we have to build for the future as well. And the only way to do that is to draft and develop well. So we got some young players in the expansion draft as well. Hopefully they can come into training camp and start to pop and be a big part of our future moving forward.
Next up, Kevin McGran.
I'm joining right here. If you're going to ask, I apologize. I just wonder if you could tell me what you liked about Jared McCann and whether you were maybe close to taking Alex Kerfoot or him, one or the other.
Well, I'm a former Sioux Greyhound, and so is Jared, so that helped. But no, we knew Jared a little bit in the 2019 World Championships with Canada. Jason Botter was a GM. I was on his staff, and Dave Haxtell was on our coaching staff as well. So got to know Jared a little bit, watch his game. We just think he's got some good offensive potential. He can score goals, and in our lineup, we need that. So it was good to get him on board.
We'll do a few more for Ron. The next question comes from Matt Larkin.
Hey, Ron. Obviously, you guys have established yourselves as players in free agency already with Adam Larson, Alexiak, and Dridger. But I'm curious, do you anticipate also getting back in the mix come July 28th for other UFAs?
That would be our plan. Yeah, I mean, certainly, there's guys that were protected that might be available. So we'll certainly look at who's out there on the 28th, and hopefully we can entice more guys to come and join us.
Thanks, Matt. Next up is Greg Wyshynski.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Ron, just to follow up, can you give us a sense of maybe how many deals are in the drawer for tomorrow when the freeze lifts?
Probably a lot less than you guys are thinking might be.
Okay, we'll take a couple more for Ron. Next question comes from Tom Galletti.
Hey, Ron. Mark Giordano was one of the established guys you took. What about him did you think would be a good fit for your team, and do you see him potentially to be your first captain if you pick one?
Yeah, and I mean this is a guy that his reputation around the league, just the way he plays the game and how he takes care of himself, and then you look at everything he does in the community. We get a chance to establish our culture from day one, and that's certainly a guy that we want to be a part of that for everything he stands for. So we're excited about that. As far as the captain, we have to have those discussions with Dave Haxtell and see if we want to make a captain coming out of the gate or not. But if we do that, he would certainly be in the discussion for sure.
And our last question comes from David Melandra.
Hey, Ron, can you talk about your selection of the player from Philadelphia, Carson Tornitzky?
Yeah, no, we looked at some of the options there. Carson, we think, is a guy that can give us games. He skates well. He's very physical. So we thought that was a good pick at that point with, again, another little bit younger guy. And I think he's got a chance to improve and be better for sure.
Thank you.